Okay, now we have a couple of questions. In general, what is the meaning of f of x plus delta x minus f of x? Okay, well, let's first talk about the meaning of f of x and the meaning of f of x plus delta x. If we have a function, then what is the meaning of f of x on a graph of the function? So we have a graph, and we have some function that's being graphed. Okay, well, the function might be increasing, decreasing, it might be going up and down, it might be doing just about anything. Let's just take a function that has a graph that looks like this. Okay, you could draw any graph you want. Okay, and we want to know the meaning of f of x. Well, to get the meaning of f of x, we want to single out some value of x, maybe. So we single out a value of x on the x-axis. Now, where on the graph do we locate the value of f of x? Now, this was a problem that surprisingly people couldn't answer. That's why we're digressing to a fairly extensive discussion of this. And I'll say that once people saw the answer to this question, it was pretty obvious to them. They recognized it right away, but were unable to come up with the picture, even given a lot of, I think, pretty broad hints. So this is something we really want to get straight. Okay, so if this is x, how do we get f of x? Well, first off, this is x, then there's a point on the graph directly above this point on the x-axis. And what are the coordinates of this point? Well, you know, if you're graphing a function, if you've got a value of x, you put it into the formula for the function, and you get a value of y. So that the coordinates of this point here are x and f of x. Now that should be very consistent with what you understand about graphing a function. Excuse me. Now, on the graph, where is f of x? How do we represent the value f of x? Well, we project the point over here. F of x is just the y coordinate. So here is f of x. Now, I've got this graph kind of bunched up. I wasn't thinking when I drew the curve and so forth. So I'm going to pause a second, and the graph will look a little different. I'm going to lower it a bit so that we can effectively label it. Okay, so here's the picture again, with everything a little lower, so I'm going to be able to label the rest of the picture. So, also I've added something here, this arrow where I extend the x-axis with this dotted line and then extend this dotted line over a little further. This arrow represents the value of f of x. It represents the fact that f of x is positive, and it represents how big f of x is. Okay, so anyhow, we move on to now the meaning of f of x plus delta x. And you should attempt to draw this before I do, so you should pause and do this. In any case, okay, here is a point x plus delta x. And of course, delta x has a length and direction represented by this arrow. Okay? Now, a size and direction represented by this arrow. So, where do we locate the point? How do we locate f of x plus delta x? Okay, you should do this. You should draw it. See how close your figure is to mine. Okay, well, we have our point on the graph that has coordinates x plus delta x and f of x plus delta x. This point right here. And then our value, f of x plus delta x, is just the y value at this point. Okay, that should be clear. Now I could draw an arrow representing the value of f of x plus delta x, but That would clutter things up, and I just kind of mentioned this arrow to help orient us a little better to the picture. Of course, I could draw the f of x plus delta x arrow over here. And actually, now that I think of it, that might not be a bad idea, so I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, I've sketched an arrow representing the value of f of x plus delta x. Simply extended the x-axis, then extended this horizontal line up here from this point to give us a representation of the value of f of x plus delta x. So now we have two representations of the meanings of f of x and f of x plus delta x, maybe even three. First of all, f of x is the second coordinate, the y coordinate, that corresponds to the value x on the x-axis. Secondly, it's the, well, we project over here and we see this represented as the y coordinate. So now we have a specific picture of f of x, okay? And it could also be, this line, because this is the same as this, okay? This distance here is the same as this. We have the same for f of x plus delta x. So we've represented f of x as what? An arrow here, a displacement from here to here, which would be a displacement from here to here or here to here, or as a coordinate on the y-axis. F of x plus delta x, again, as a coordinate on the y-axis, as a displacement vector here, which could be placed here or here if we wish. This vector could be moved to here or here and still represent the value f of x plus delta x. So now we see the meaning of f of x, the meaning of f of x plus delta x, and hopefully this solidifies your understanding of what these expressions mean. Now we're going to move on in the next video to the meaning of f of x plus delta x minus f of x. And you might want to ponder that before you watch the next video.